you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It is Monday, 16th of March, 2026. It is a new week, a new opportunity to start the week fresh, reset, and achieve all those goals that you want to accomplish for this week. I am your host, Renessa Ortiz, and I'm joined in studio this morning by the lovely Nicole Williams-Wilson. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Renessa, and good morning, Tobago. And again, indeed, it is a pleasure to be with you all this morning as we continue the conversation on important issues affecting Tobago and the community at large. As we move along with our program, we would now be having news in 90 seconds with Renessa.
Thank you so much, Nicole. A 15 million legal claim against a prominent Tobago businessman. The state of emergency is extended, and Kelvin Morris lays out his vision for the PNM. Your news in 90 seconds starts now for Monday, March 16th, 2026. Majority state-owned bank First Citizens is heading to court to recover over 15 million from Tobagonian businessman Alan Warner and his family. The claim filed against Innes Investments and several family members seeks the repayment of millions in outstanding loans plus 8.5% interest. The High Court has authorized service by advertisement, giving the defendants just 8 days to enter an appearance. Warner now faces intense scrutiny as the bank moves to collect on multiple guarantees. National security powers are staying in place. On Friday, Parliament voted 26-12 to extend the state of emergency for another 3 months. The government argued the extension is vital to dismantle gang networks. While the opposition slammed the move as a crutch for failed policies, the SOE continues to grant police extended search and arrest powers. Notably, no curfew has been implemented, but authorities advise carrying ID at all times. Finally, in politics, the race for the PNM Tobago Council is hitting high gear ahead of the April internal election. Candidate Kelvin Morris is promising a bottom-up approach to leadership, focusing on community engagement and transparency. Morris says he is ready to bridge the gap between the party and the people, positioning himself as the candidate of unity against Shamfa Kojo Lewis in what is expected to be a historic leadership battle. That was the news in 90 seconds. Tune in again at 6:30 p.m. for our full newscast. Nicole, we're seeing quite a lot of stories here within the news in 90 seconds this morning.
Correct.
I see an extended SOE for 3 more months.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh, I'm thinking that, there are issues that needs to be dealt with. And if the state of emergency would rightfully deal with these issues, then by all means, yes. I know citizens would be, a little bit under duress as it relates to the states of emergency, but I'm thinking it's a right step in the right direction, providing that it is to curb gang warfare and all these stuff. Yeah.
When I'm looking at the tourism industry at this time, we've been having the conversations over the past few weeks, how the SOE can be a significant deterrent for their income. And when we see that we have the SOE extending into Easter, where that's one of the times where we have tourists coming into the island to experience what we have here to offer, and the SOE is still in place, especially when persons abroad, they look out for these travel advisories to see how safe a country is before they enter. But as Mr. McLean said, Tobago is safe. You can still come to Tobago for Easter. And I'm hoping that going forward, that what the SOE is implemented for, it actually gets to curb some of these issues so that we can go back without that SOE. So we know for a fact when they search Trinidad and Tobago on the international, all over the web, they know that here is someone you can come on vacation safely.
Most definitely.
Now, viewers, we're heading into that celebratory segment of our morning. It's on to our birthday shout out this morning, and we have quite a few here for us this morning. But Nicole, I'm going to allow you to start the birthday celebration.
Yes, thank you so much, Renessa. On screen we have the gorgeous, lovely Alberta Carrington. Miss Alberta, I am declaring God's blessings over your life, and I pray that you have a really excellent and remarkable day, and that every good thing and all your heart's desire shall indeed be met.
Up next, we have Deslyn Fletcher. Good morning. We hope your day is as bright as your smile that is displayed here on screen.
Yes.
We're wishing you a day full of joy, laughter, spent with those who love, cherish, and appreciate you, and wishing you all God's richest blessings upon your life going forward in this new year.
Oh, we have the handsome Carlos guy, yes, declaring God's blessings over your life, sir, and I declare that you would have an excellent day. I pray that all your heart's desires shall indeed be met, and that everything that you put your hands to, that it shall indeed be blessed. Continued blessings over your life, sir.
We have a belated birthday. We have Shelly Henry. You celebrated over the weekend. I'm hoping
Yes.
that you did not have any chores to do, that you spent it on the beach, that you went out with your friends, you had a drink, that you were safe on the road even though you had a drink. And I'm wishing that going forward in this new year, that you continue to be bright, be prosperous, that everything that you want for this new year is achieved and accomplished.
And finally, we have Mr. Kirby Kent. Happy belated birthday to you, sir. It's indeed a pleasure because he was one of my past students, yes? Happy birthday, sir. I hope that you really and truly had a remarkable day and that God will continue to pour out his blessings over your life. You are indeed blessed.
And that was the end of our birthday shout outs this morning. If you didn't make it on our birthday list this morning, we want to say happy birthday to you from the Tobago Updates family. And we're wishing you a bright day ahead and a good year ahead. Now, Nicole, we're going into the rundown. Tell us what we have in store for this morning.
All right, viewers, Tobago, this morning we have an interview with Mr. Kelvin Morris, candidate for the leader of the PNM Tobago Council, talking about the Tobago PNM leadership. After such, we have TTPS Sergeant Joseph Jordan, and he's gonna be leading the conversation on fraudulent online activities. And finally, we have Avina Allen, CEO of Team Elevate, and with SCA around the corner, she's gonna be promoting her creative writing SCA boot camp. And that's us this morning.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Before we came on air this morning, we were talking about the media briefing that took place yesterday, Sunday,
Correct.
15th of March. I know we saw the Youth Development Fund and providing support to young Tobagonians through assistance to youth organizations and food vouchers for university students. I know in the past there were students speaking about delay in payments, delays in sponsorship or support that they need for them to continue in their academic journey.
Yes.
Give us a bit of your thoughts on that, Nicole.
I am thinking that this is a step in the right direction because DATAS diligently assist students overseas, yes, and having extra funds, especially for our, athletes, giving them that ease, because when you go away and you're studying, thinking about where you're getting your next meal, thinking about, certain things is a really hard place to be. So I am really and truly glad that they have extra funds to assist students. Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, and I am hoping that students really acknowledge that the funds are there to assist them and that they work excellently. Yes.
We're also seeing a lot of development underway. We have the Goodwood Pavilion project, the Dwight York Stadium. We're already seeing that they're doing site visits and work to deal with the Mount Pleasant sporting facility. We also see staffing matters also being addressed as it relates to daily paid workers. And we're also seeing that the travel arrangements for Easter, the conversations have already started.
Yes.
I know we always talk about why is it when it's a heavy season, the air bridge and the sea bridge, it's not able to move the capacity from Trinidad to Tobago to Trinidad. Flights and boat tickets are always something very hard to get, and I'm seeing that they already started the conversations, and I'm hoping that for this Easter 2026, the usual plight is alleviated in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I am hoping so as well, because we understand the dynamics that usually happen around Easter time. And this is the time where we see an influx of visitors. So I'm really glad that steps are being put in place in order to make sure that, our visitors do not get stranded on the airport or even on the port, and that things are being put in place. Really excellent step in the right direction.
Now, viewers, before we continue to the conversations this morning, I want to thank all our viewers on Facebook, YouTube, Digicel, AMPLIA, and the Flow. Thank you for viewing in and staying here with us at Tobago Updates. But we'll be continuing the conversations when we come back from the break. So remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So, even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
We get ready as the Conby Mount Pleasant Community Council brings to you their Easter Sport and Family Day. On Monday, 6th April, Easter Monday, we transform the Mount Pleasant recreational grounds. We kick off with track and field events, novelty races, Easter bonnet competition, the Greasy Pole Challenge, and the highly anticipated William Woods Premier Goat Racing Classic. Huge prizes to be won, and we can't forget the Kids Corner with rides and bouncy castles. At 7 p.m., it's an after party and a stage show by popular artists and DJs. Grounds tickets cost $60 for adults and $30 for kids 5 to 12 years. Pavilion tickets cost $100 and children under 5 years are free. So register early for races. Check out Conby Mount Pleasant Community Council on Facebook. 474-4661. 474-4661 for more details. Live performance by the 2026 National Calypso Monarch Queen, Terry Lyons.
I need a blessing. Tobago need a blessing. Tobago need a blessing.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Trinidad, Tobago, and abroad. Your chance to drive away in a brand new SUV is still on. The BHS Centennial Raffle has been extended to Thursday, 30th April 2026. And that's not all. Prizes include travel for two to Miami and Curacao, Tobago staycation, iPhones, computers, smart TVs, and more. Tickets still only $100. Get yours at selected outlets or at islandetickets.com. Details at bishopstobago100.com/raffle.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back, viewers. Before the break, we spoke to you about the conversations we would be having this morning. And in studio with us this morning, we have Kelvin Morris. He is the candidate for the leader of the PNM Tobago Council. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Morris.
Good morning, Vanessa. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning to the members, supporters of the People's National Movement, Tobagonians, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Pleasure to be here.
Many members are asking about your readiness to step into this role as leader, and as previously stated, while you were minority leader, you stated you weren't ready. But what gave you the confidence that you are now ready to undertake this responsibility as putting yourself up for candidacy for the leadership of the PNM Tobago Council?
So thank you for that question, Vanessa. And you know, my track record has always been one of service to the party and to Tobago. From as early as 2013, I served as a campaign manager for former area representative for Blackrock Women's Spring Garden at that time, Claudia Broom Duke. I also served as polling division supervisor for former Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles, and I served as director, board of directors on the Tobago Tourism Agency. I also served as a director on Evolving Technologies, E-Tech, for the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And I've also served as area representative, assemblyman, and a minority leader. So therefore, I have always tried to serve to the best of my ability. And you would recall as well, I was the lone elected assemblyman for the PNM in the last Tobago House of Assembly. And during that time, I stood in the gap for the party and for the people of Tobago, holding the administration accountable, and all at the same time, you know, ensuring that I speak up for the party, the members, and the people of Tobago. So in that scenario, I demonstrated service and readiness. And you know, ultimately what it reinforced to me, that leadership is not just about titles, but it's the ability to be courageous, to be consistent and committed to the people, you know, you seek to serve. And therefore, this is but one further step in that direction, coming forward to be a candidate as a political leader, because it's about really coming at a point where the party, you know, requires unity, it requires renewed energy, and it requires a clear pathway to progress. And therefore, I bring all my skills and experience to bear to ensure that I can assist in bringing the party together and also ensuring that we can rebuild trust in the PNM.
Now, what was the defining moment or moments that really said to you, hey, this is something I'm doing and I am sold on this matter and I'm going forward with this step?
Well, it has been a lot of prayerful reflection to start with, you know, conversations with family, conversations with my district constituents as well, conversations with members from all walks of life. And therefore, you know, there are times in your life when, you know, more than anything else, it's not about ambition, but it's service. And I believe at this time, the PNM requires someone who can unite the party, someone who can bring new, fresh ideas to the table. And therefore, you know, I felt at that time when the calls got evil, it continued to get louder and louder. I said I would answer the call and I would step forward in service to the people of my party and in service to the people of Tobago.
Thank you so much, Mr. Morris. And again, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Tell us, what would be some of the key priorities as it relates to, you know, getting persons more engaged for the upcoming election as it relates to you as being the leader?
Well, for me, one of the things I've recognized is that, and when you look at even the results of the last election, it tells you a number of things that, you know, the party needs to strengthen its outreach and engagement. The party, of course, we need to listen more carefully to the concerns of Tobagonians, and we also have to be in a position to readily respond, you know, with ideas and with solutions that are practical and realistic and really that connects with the people. So therefore, one of the things I would seek to do as I go forward is really engaging with the membership, listening to them, hearing what are their concerns, and bringing us all to the table, because I believe in a collaborative style of leadership where, you know, you keep people engaged and involved, and together we come up with solutions that can really move the party forward.
You just mentioned working in collaboration and really sitting on the ground and getting what the membership needs. Based on your opinion, what is the most pressing issue right now within the party that you believe needs the most addressing?
So at this point in time, one of the key issues is really about uniting the party and building trust again in the PNM. And therefore, you know, trust isn't just simply something you get like that. Trust is earned, and it really takes a level of engagement. As I said, it's about reconnecting with people. It is about listening and giving people a platform to ensure that their voices, their concerns are heard. And it is really being genuine in your approach to people and engaging them where they feel valued and they feel like their opinions matter. And therefore, this is what I bring to the PNM. It's a grassroots approach. It is an authentic approach. It is about really bringing that feeling that your party cares about you. And therefore, this is what I want to ensure that we can deal with, is really uniting our party, bringing people together, and rebuilding trust.
So the platform is open to you, yes, this morning. So if you have to speak directly to the members of the PNM Tobago Council, who would be making the decision as it relates to, you know, you being the leader, what would you say to them this morning?
So I would say to them, this is Kelvin Morris, the young man who served you as minority leader over the past 4 years. I've always dedicated my service to the party, and it has always been about the members of the party first and the party's interests first. I'm someone who has always remained dedicated and committed. I know there might be some members out there concerned as to having two formidable candidates compete for the position of political leader, but I can give you the assurance that we will conduct ourselves in a spirit of mutual respect and dignity, and we will continue. I can guarantee you on my side that I will focus on bringing real solutions and ideas to the issues and concerns that we have at this time. And it is about strengthening the party, it's about modernizing our systems, it's about re-energizing our party groups, it is about giving our people renewed hope.
Now, what do you, Mr. Morris, believe distinguishes you from the other candidates that have put themselves up for leadership? Why should they choose you to run the PNM Tobago Council?
Well, I am the ultimate unifier. I am someone who, as I said, my style is really focused on connecting with people, listening to people, bringing everyone to the table and making sure that everyone feels valued. As a matter of fact, before I close, I want to thank the outgoing executive of the People's National Movement, our outgoing political leader, Mr. Ansel Dennis, and our chairman, Mr. Larry Paul, and the entire team. Because you see, service is something, especially in voluntary organizations, you know, we take for granted the kind of commitment and dedication that is required. And when persons step forward, we must recognize their service and show the relative appreciation. And therefore, I intend, once I am successful, one of the first things I will do as political leader is to hold a Thanksgiving service, a prayers and Thanksgiving service, to recognize all the former officers who would have served this great party, whether it be at the level of the executive, whether it be at the level of party groups, or whether it be at the level of the Tobago House of Assembly and the government. I think it's about recognition and respecting the service of all who would have passed.
Now, many members may be concerned that having two candidates going up for political leader may cause some division within the party. And you mentioned in your previous answer that you are the unifier. What do you tend to do in the event that things become too competitive? What are some of the things you intend to do to ensure that unity remains intact?
Well, it's first demonstrating mutual respect, and you know, one can promote oneself without denigrating the other. As a matter of fact, you know, I see it, I often make the joke that for me, I am a Bishopian, and we have 4 very competitive houses.
Indeed.
And you know, we will compete when it comes to our homecoming alumni events, but at the end of the day, we stand as proud Bishopian, recognizing the achievements of each and every one. And therefore, I see it no different in this upcoming elections. We are all members of the PNM first and foremost, and therefore it is about recognizing of the values of everyone who would come forward, because it's not just political leadership that there will be competition, but it's appreciating the democratic process, respecting the democratic process, but at the same time ensuring, as I said, that we conduct our affairs in a spirit of mutual respect and dignity for one another.
And Mr. Morris, we want to thank you. But before we close off this interview, we're going to take a break. But when we come back, viewers will be continuing the conversations with Mr. Morris. But remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Coming up, fets, pan, parades, soca. Yes, Carnival is in full swing. Artists from all over added their strokes to Antigua and Barbuda's canvas. A boost for these Barbadian projects through the power to make a difference. Equal servings of culture and good cheer. It's Caribbean Passport TV right here on this station.
I think part of the problem we have, and this is not unique to cardiology, but this concept of checkup is going for review. So for example, women are probably better at, they have the mammogram, they have the pap smear, an older patient may have a schedule with a healthcare clinic. So a lot of people in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s won't think of our healthcare as being part of a proactive thing. So they're waiting for something to happen, then go to the doctor.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome viewers back to Tobago Updates Morning Show. We're still here in studio with Kelvin Morris. He's the PNM Tobago Council hopeful for political leader for 2026. Welcome back, Mr. Morris. Welcome.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Before the interview, before we went to the break, you spoke about going into leadership, the persons who pushed you, prayerful reflections. Now, saying that you already gave the announcement, I want to know, what has the feedback been like since your announcement, especially from your electoral district?
It has been extremely positive. People are excited. As a matter of fact, some people have posited to me, you should have done this a while ago. But, as I said, for me, at that time, 4 years ago, my focus was ensuring that I be a good representative for the electoral district and the people of Darrell Spring WIM, and really focusing on the role of minority leader, but at the same time providing support to our political leader and the party. And I am the ultimate team player. And so now that I have stepped forward and indicated my interest in becoming the next political leader, the people are really excited. People want to be on board. They want to know how they can assist. And therefore, as I said, it is about bringing people together, and that continues to be my focus. And therefore, my campaign will be one that ensures that after all is said and done, the party can progress in a spirit of unity and togetherness, and will demonstrate to Tobago that the PNM is actually learning from its mistakes. We are listening to the people, and we are ready again to provide alternatives that can develop Tobago in a holistic way, bringing sound economic ideas in terms of how we develop our tourism sector, how we develop our agriculture sector, and the creatives, of course, and ensure that we provide opportunities for young people.
Now, before we close, Mr. Morris, you spoke about your campaign. I want you to share with the members of the Tobago Council what your pillars for your campaign would be, and also can you speak to the other positions that are currently up for election as well?
Okay, so my pillars, it is quite simple. I am Kelvin, the ultimate unifier. And I bring to the table leadership, unity, progress, renewal, and rebirth of the party. And you also wanted to find out about what other positions. So there are 16 other positions available for serving on the executive of the PNM, in addition to political leader. The most high profile of those being the chairman, your vice chairman, lady vice chairman, general secretary, public relations officer, elections officer, education officer, research officer, youth officer, labor relations officer, field officer. You also have operations officer. So there are 17 positions available, and I am encouraging members within the People's National Movement and Tobagonians, because you can in fact join this PNM, and as we go forward we will be going on various it's about reconnecting with the communities and enlarging the membership base of the PNM. So if you are interested in this rebirth of the PNM, this re-energizing of the PNM, I say come forward, join with me, and let us really create a new pathway to progress for the People's National Movement and for Tobago going forward.
So as we continue the conversation and get ready to wrap up, we really want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and vision with us and for joining us this morning.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It was indeed a pleasure being with
we
you,
wish you all the best going forward.
Yes.
Wish you all the best going forward, and that we hope for a smooth transition after April 2026 within the Tobago PNM Council. That was our conversation this morning with Kelvin Morris, candidate hopeful for the PNM Tobago Council, and we're going to head to a break. But when we come back, we'll be continuing the conversations with TTPS. Stay tuned. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
TL Promotion presents Laugh and Live this Good Friday, 7 p.m. It's non-stop laughter at Bertrude Legacy Park, Lowlands. Special guest from Jamaica, Mr. Funny himself, Owen Blacker Ellis. From Trinidad, Rising Comics, Alan the Entertainer, and Son. And from Tobago, amateur comic, Bishop Terence Baines. Listen, this is a laughing matter. Get your tickets now at Den's Electronics, 2nd floor, Port Mall, Scarborough. An Island e-tickets or call 685-1988. At the door, you will pay more. It's gonna be a family affair. Laughter is good for the soul, whether you're young or you're old. So get your tickets now. You can't afford to miss it. Add some laughter to your Easter.
Hop, hop, hip hooray, Easter money's on its way. Some bunnies getting a great rate today. Looking for a rate that's bright and sunny? Hop on down for some Easter money. 1% interest through and through, because we see you at BCU. Apply for a 1% Easter loan and let's hatch something great together. Hop, hop, hip hooray, Easter money's on its way.
We get ready as the Conby Mount Pleasant Community Council brings to you their Easter Sport and Family Day. On Monday, 6th April, Easter Monday, we transform the Mount Pleasant recreational grounds. We kick off with track and field events, novelty races, Easter bonnet competition, the Greasy Pole Challenge, and the highly anticipated William Woods Premier Goat Racing Classic. Huge prizes to be won, and we can't forget the Kids Corner with rides and bouncy castles. At 7 p.m., it's an after party and a stage show by popular artists and DJs. Grounds tickets cost $60 for adults and $30 for kids 5 to 12 years. Pavilion tickets cost $100 and children under 5 years are free. So register early for races. Check out Conby Mount Pleasant Community Council on Facebook. 474-4661. 474-4661 for more details. Live performance by the 2026 National Calypso Monarch Queen, Terry Lyons.
I need a blessing. Tobago need a blessing. Tobago need a blessing.
Trinidad, Tobago and abroad, your chance to drive away in a brand new SUV is still on. The BHS Centennial Raffle has been extended to Thursday 30th April 2026. And that's not all. Prizes include travel for two to Miami and Curacao, Tobago staycation, iPhones, computers, smart TVs and more. Tickets still only $100. Get yours at selected outlets or at islandetickets.com. Details at bishopstobago100.com/raffle.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back. As we continue the conversation, we, continue to move into our daily activities of online shopping and banking and even, social media. So joining us today as it relates to the conversation on fraudulent online activities, we have none other than Sergeant Joseph Jordan, who is going to, give us some insightful information. Yes? Mr. Jordan, tell us.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to you all. Thanks for the invitation. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago, your viewing and listening audience. Thanks for having the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service once again. All right, so this morning, as you would usually do, I'm going to start off with my updates for the Tobago Division as relates to SRCs or Serious Report Crimes. So the comparative period we are looking at is from January 1st to March the 2nd. That is where the data is coming from. So we're going to compare the year 2025 to 2026. So last year, around this said period, we would have recorded 148 serious report crimes. This year, we have recorded 71 crimes, which has shown a 52% decrease in serious report crime, which is commendable to the division, and we hope that we continue to go in that positive direction. The detection rate for the division currently stands at 21% as compared to 41% last year. The detection rate might have dropped, however, there are less crimes in that period. Also, as it relates to murders or violent crimes, we would have recorded 2 murders last year for the said period under review, as well as 2 for this year. So we are basically kind of like on par with what would have happened last year. However, 1 murder is still too much for us in Tobago. A loss of life cannot be dismissed. Additionally, with road traffic accidents, because we know last week, Friday, we lost Jerome Jack, of the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. Condolences to the family of the Jack, as well as the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Now, this is also another issue that we are looking at, because this is the second motorcycle accident along that said road, on Milford Road, but this one would have happened down at in the Bonaccord region, and similar instance, and in those 2 instances, the 2 persons or the 2 motorcyclists lost their lives. So once we are advising persons that you need to be careful on the road, and simply speed kills. And it's very rare persons survive those sort of motorcycle accidents. So we want to ensure that, or encourage that persons using the roadway, that they continue to do it within the limits of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, and observe the traffic signs and the traffic laws of our country.
Now, authorities have warned about a rise in online fraudulent activities. What are the main issues in terms of fraud that are occurring online right now here in Tobago, especially, and not just Tobago, but Trinidad and Tobago?
Right. So, fraudulent activities has always been prevalent. As we, in simple terms, smart man thing, right? As I often would have mentioned before, fraudulent activities comes under the larceny act mainly. So basically, it's stealing from someone. But in this instance, you are stealing with some sort of fraudulent intention. And what we have in the Tobago space, and by extension Trinidad and Tobago, that is somewhat trending, are online scams. And in the Tobago space, there are two occurrences that are prevalent, and we have been monitoring them. Now, the monies lost may not be of a significant amount concern for some people, but not everybody, you don't know everybody's pockets. So we have, we're going to use some examples. So we have reports involving sometimes where they say rent to own vehicles. Now, how the reports that we have received thus far, this is where the victim, they are going to respond to a Facebook marketplace advertisement or a TikTok advertisement where someone is claiming that they have a car, or they are into car sales, and as well as rent to own concepts. So they would now invite that person, once you respond to the ad, they would now invite that person to provide sometimes 2 forms of ID, a utility bill, as well as any relevant information they think might be necessary. So that person now, once you agree with the arrangement, they would send you a account number, a banking account number with a name. And you would then go to the bank, or some person do it online with their online banking, mobile banking as well, and they will transfer that money. Usually the sums would range between $4,000 and $10,000. As long as that transaction is completed, they would ask the person you're sending it to, or the suspect, they would indicate that yes, I received the money, and ironically, they would tell you, all right, by later this evening, I would send up the car on the fast ferry with the contract to sign for the vehicle. And at that point, during that course of the day, you'll have a regular conversation with the person. Yeah, everything in place, all right? So the boat reaching up about 7. So persons will now go to the ports on arrival of the fast ferry. And 2 things either happen. During that time, they cannot communicate with the person, they get blocked, or the person would stretch it out a little bit and say, well, call so and so, call James Brown, and you'll get no answer to those phone calls. And it's at that point in time, many of the persons would realize that they have been scammed. Now, some of the identifying factors as it relates to that is the instance of the person that you are speaking to is hardly ever the person that you're going to send the money to. They'll always give you another name. And to send that, in particular, the banking information. And that is one of the red flags. We have to be realistic. As a customer, our cars are somewhat of a major investment. What is wrong with you communicating with someone to meet with them and to look at this car, to verify that this car exists? Many of the times there is no car. What they often do is Photoshop. They would even take signs of business places indicating that it have a business there. Persons would sometimes go down to Trinidad, and this is generally after the fact. They would go down to Trinidad and look for this place, and most of the time what they would find is bush, space, nothing. So we are encouraging persons to do their due diligence checks before the purchase or going to those kind of arrangements. They are legitimate entities that exist. I would strongly advise, or the Trinidad and Tobago would strongly advise that persons visit those establishments in an effort to reduce you being scammed of your hard-earned money.
Many online scams are prosecuted under the Fraud Act. For those who would be seeking to, or you couldn't even correct me if I'm wrong, seeking to divulge into fraudulent activities, can you clearly define what is determined as fraud and some of the things that they need to stay clear of? I know there are individuals who actively and consciously know that they are entering into that realm of fraud, but for persons, especially when we were having a previous conversation, we were talking about larceny and breaking, and there's a difference between the two. Yes. Can you go into that a bit for the viewers and for individuals who may possibly find themselves in these situations?
All right. So So fraudulent activity, as I would have mentioned earlier, comes under the Larceny Act, Chapter 11-12 of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, right? And under larceny, there are concepts that define larceny. There are larceny mistake, larceny fine, larceny intimidation, and larceny fraud. The Trinidad and Tobago Fraud Squad in particular, our focus is on the one where persons are losing their items through a fraudulent mean. So you are basically tricking someone or making believe that something exists. So larceny trick, the concept of larceny trick is basically telling someone, I am selling apples, but the reality of it, I do not have any apple. I don't have any authority to sell apples. So I am totally making up a story in an effort to sell a product. So you are going to, the person is going to send their money and receive nothing, right? So fraudulent activity is basically one where a person use trickery, as a simple term, smart man thing to get your money. And that is where most people find it difficult to understand. And unfortunately, and I need to point this out, when person come to make these reports, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is not the entity to recover your money. We would conduct a criminal investigation. We often advise persons, in order to recover your money, you would have to take a civil action. Now, if and when their persons are taken before the court of law, the court, the magistrate, the judge, they may sometimes impose a fine and compensation package, but that is at the discretion of the court. But if you want to recover your money, we suggest that you take a civil action to sue the person to get back what you would have lost.
Thank you so much, sir. You made some really important points, yes? As it relates to persons and, they going out of their way and they may indeed get scammed, yes? What are some of the things that they could immediately do when they realize that this has happened to them?
All right, so if, for example, one of the first things you can do if in relation to online transactions, you are advised as well to report the instance to the bank or your banker as early as possible. That is basically a reactive approach.
Yes.
From a proactive approach, you need to do diligent checks. Ensure that what the business that you are getting into, it actually exists. As during my previous conversation, you can ask somebody to check on it. Check on these companies, do your research. In instances of on a larger scale, like for example land fraudulent activity, if you are purchasing a piece of land, you can go to the registrar,
okay,
and do a search to ensure that what you are being sold is the person has the authority to sell it and you are doing the right thing. So there are a number of things that you need to do. There are checks and balances that you need to do before you spend your money or enter into any arrangement. So the proactive approach, check, double check. Ensure that the business that you are engaging, they are legitimate. You can check out the registrar companies. There are a number of places that you can go to do these transactions. For example, the bank is one that when you are doing transactions, they do their checks as well. So that is one of the ways that you can avoid or limit you being tricked into spending your money. They will do a search, right? But these are things as an individual you can also do. But when you are dealing with one-on-one, so you meet somebody on the side of the road, but I have a piece of land to sell or I have a car to sell. So, well, how much? In the case of a car, boy, this car, they give me some problem. Give me a 15 and take it now. All right, boy, steal off a deal. Yes, give the man your $15,000. You get the car. When you check now, he's not the registered owner of the car. And after that, you can't find him.
Yeah.
So, fraud comes in many aspects, and we just have to be aware as to when people are approaching you. If you have doubts about it, and many of the times we just get the feeling. So when we get the feeling, listen to the feeling so that you don't lose your money foolishly.
Now, before we wrap up, there was another instance of fraud here on the island of Tobago regarding Blue Haven Hotel and travel arrangements. Can you speak to that a bit to the viewers?
Right. So, the Blue Haven Villas is one that is being sold in Tobago as a holiday resort or holiday accommodation. To start with, there is no hotel or no villa in Tobago by that name. That's one.
Yeah.
Right? Secondly, it goes back to what I speak to diligent checks, because they are also, these persons are advertising on Facebook Marketplace as well as on TikTok. The principle remains the same. You would respond to the advertisement. You would send your money. So usually they ask for a down payment. So it might be a down payment of $1,500. And they would indicate that everything is in place for when you come to Tobago. When you come to Tobago and you're looking for this place, you cannot find it. It does not exist. Once again, at that point in time, you have lost your money and you come to report to the police as to what would have transpired to you. It is something that we are vehemently advising persons do your checks and balances, because it is hard for someone to spend their money for accommodation and come to Tobago. Easter is coming up. Most places are already booked out.
Yes.
So imagine you encounter a foreign activity or tricked into spending your money, realizing that that accommodation that you would have paid for does not exist. It is now difficult for you now to find a place where most of the other places are fully booked and you are basically stranded. Right? So we are asking persons to do your checks and avoid these sort of arrangements. One of the things I will encourage you to do as a prospective customer or client, you can reach out to somebody in Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is relatively well connected. Could you go and check this Blue Haven Villa, where it's located? Call a friend, call somebody. You must know somebody in Tobago so that they can verify that this place exists, so that you do not end up with a situation of losing your money. And basically, that is also in the form of larceny trick.
Now, Sergeant Jordan, I want to thank you so much for coming on this morning to continue to implore with the citizenry to be cautious of the transactions that they are making online, especially when it relates to Facebook Marketplace and all of these institutions online that we now have just at our fingertips, to be cautious, to do your checks and balances. And to our viewers, please be careful, and especially with the Easter holiday coming up. Remember to stay tuned with us here at Tobago Update. We'll be continuing the conversations when we return from the break. Please remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it, anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax, we will get it to you. Tobago's at your service. We get ready as the Conby Mount Pleasant Community Council brings to you their Easter Sport and Family Day. On Monday, 6th April, Easter Monday, we transform the Mount Pleasant recreational grounds. We kick off with track and field events, novelty races, Easter bonnet competition, the Greasy Pole Challenge, and the highly anticipated William Woods Premier Goat Racing Classic. Huge prizes to be won, and we can't forget the Kids Corner with rides and bouncy castles. At 7 p.m., it's an after party and a stage show by popular artists and DJs. Grounds tickets cost $60 for adults and $30 for kids 5 to 12 years. Pavilion tickets cost $100 and children under 5 years are free. So register early for races. Check out Conby Mount Pleasant Community Council on Facebook. 474-4661. 474-4661 for more details. Live performance by the 2026 National Calypso Monarch Queen, Terry Lyons.
I need a blessing. Tobago need a blessing.
Trinidad, Tobago and abroad, your chance to drive away in a brand new SUV is still on. The BHS Centennial Raffle has been extended to Thursday 30th April 2026. And that's not all. Prizes include travel for two to Miami and Curacao, Tobago staycation, iPhones, computers, smart TVs and more. Tickets still only $100. Get yours at selected outlets or at islandetickets.com. Details at bishopstobago100.com/raffle.
Baby, when you whine on me. Somebody get the phone, on the telephone. I get wet. I'm looking all through the party. I hope I find you there.
Coming up, bets, pan, parades, soca. Yes, Carnival is in full swing. Artists from all over added their strokes to Antigua and Barbuda's canvas. A boost for these Barbadian projects through the power to make a difference. Equal servings of culture and good cheer. It's Caribbean Passport TV right here on this station.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Are you listening? Listen closely. Now, I know you're still getting a little stage fright, a little jitters and stuff like that. But here what? I have something nice in the bag for you. I am Aviana Allen, CEO of Team Elevate, and I'll be hosting my first ever creative writing SCA bootcamp. Now, this bootcamp is geared towards report writing and narrative writing, and I'll be teaching you all the tricks and the ins and outs of how to enhance your vocabulary and descriptive language. So parents, it's free 99.com. Listen to this little secret. This is my special gift to you as a good book.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to Tobago Updates Morning Show. Joining us on the line is Aviana Allen. She's the CEO of Team Elevate, as seen in the video before we came on to the interview. Good morning and welcome to you, Miss Allen.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning.
Such a pleasure to have you on set with us this morning. Tell us about Team Elevate and the work that you're doing with our students for SCA.
All right. So, Team Elevate is an SCA creative writing institution where we teach students the ins and the outs and all the strategies associated with report writing and narrative writing.
Now tell us, what are some of the skills students walk away with after attending the boot camp? Because this is one of your major selling points for parents who want to enroll their students to ensure that they have the utmost success coming out of the SCA exams.
Right. So what I have realized within my 8 years as an SCA creative writing tutor, I have noticed that students lack the basic competencies that the examiners are looking for. For example, one of the criteria that the examiners are looking for is language use and organization. And I can safely say, in my professional opinion, I believe that these two aspects are where students tend to, that tends to be their weak point. So, being that I have been exposed to this for so long and I understand that, hey, this is a weak point, it was in my nature, it was innate for me to help persons, more specifically the students of Trinidad and Tobago, because I am really passionate about creative writing. I'm really passionate about creative writing. So, because I have this skill and it's innate to me, why not? Why not share my knowledge with persons who may be still at this 99th hour having stage fright, they may be nervous, maybe within those 6 days that there can be some epiphany or some twist of fate that, with the knowledge that they would have came out of my boot camp with, it could have hit home, or it will hit home, or might hit home. Something may stick, and instead of getting or attaining 17 or 16 or 15 out of 20 for narrative or report writing, because of the boot camp, you might now end up with 20 out of 20. So this is a reason or an ideal reason to be a part of this boot camp. So I understand what are some of the students' major weak points, and I intend to hone in on those weak points and help them to do the best at SCA Creative Writing on March 26th.
Thank you so much, Miss Allen. And you mentioned March 26th, some days away, yes? We just have a few more days, so I know that parents are really and truly a bit antsy at this time. Tell us, what can parents and even students expect at this boot camp?
So at this boot camp, but if I tell them now, then it won't be really a boot camp. But what I will say is that they can expect a fun, interactive session. So even though boot camp may sound a bit scary, it sound like military and stuff like that, I assure you it's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive, and it's going to be informative. So I'm not going to say anything that's going to be happening in the boot camp, but I will say it's going to be fun, informative, and interactive.
Now, in the video that was displayed before you came on air, you spoke about the time to be announced. For persons who are interested and want to stay tuned for when this time is released, can you share with us your social media handles or your contact information so that they can stay updated, so that they can be in touch with you?
Sure, no problem. So for Facebook, my name on Facebook is Aviana Allen. On Instagram, Aviana Christie. And on TikTok, Avi Christie. And my phone number is 301-0080.
And where can persons register?
Right. So at the end of the video, you would have noticed a QR code so that they can scan the QR code, and it would lead you directly to a Google link so you can fill out the necessary information so that I can know how to best prepare my bootcamp for students, so I can know exactly, okay, this is their weak point, I need to do this, I need to do that, etc. So it's a Google form that parents must fill out. You have to do that so that I can structure my boot camp in the most cohesive and effective way. Now, there are only 20 slots available, and it's on first come, first serve basis. And the deadline is Tuesday, which is tomorrow at 4 p.m. So parents, get on it. It's free, 99.com. Don't stick. 20 spots available. Locks off tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Thank you so much, Miss Allen. And, you know, continuing to encourage our students as they prepare for SCA examination. Parents, this is your opportunity to jump on so that your child can have that, you know, extra push in the right direction. You may be thinking that you don't have time, but you still have a little bit of time to continue. So thank you so much, Miss Allen. Yes.
And might I just interject? Some parents I know the nerves and all of the things associated with SCA, and you're counting down the days. Today is the 16th. Oh my God, 10 more days. Like, I don't feel John ready. I don't feel Sasha ready. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I learned this many centuries ago when I was in high school from my English PE teacher. She said, you know, Aviana, once you're not in the exam room as yet, you still have time.
Correct.
You still have time.
Correct.
So I just want parents to know that you may think that time is running out. There is still time. You just have to use that time effectively and strategically. Look at your weaknesses. Look at what the examiners are marking you on, and just prepare to the best of your ability.
Thank you so much, Miss Allen, and thank you for encouraging our parents to, you know, you still have time. Yes. We wish you all the best as it relates to your SCA boot camp. Have a blessed day.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, and you also both have a blessed day.
Same to you. Over to you, Vanessa.
Now, viewers, that has brought us to the end of our programming here at Tobago Updates Morning Show. But we continued conversations this morning with GMT when we come back from the break. But remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Yes.
The Bell Garden Anglican School is here to entertain and inform you. We come here on a health-conscious mission to tell you that living healthy and drug abstinence is the best decision. So sit back and relax, except the judging panel, because we come here to flip the script and change the channel. Drag your bow, Mr. Fiddler. The party was lit, but all I see is people lie down in the spit and they vomit. I know we the say is right down till we lie down, but don't let drugs and alcohol carry us 6 feet underground. You might feel like you're flying with colors and you can manage it because you're so smart, but you can't control it when it's in your system and ready to fail your heart. Cocaine, marijuana, and ecstasy, even the trending will never be good for we. Everybody wanna zest and pop pills, but that not help you develop no skills. So say no to drugs today from the first time offer. Say family not to sing when the roll is called up yonder. Drag your bow, Mr.
Honestly, I feel amazing. It was easy for me and my classmates to successfully perform, and it was kind of difficult in some places, but we got through to it.
I feel fantastic. It's unreal. It was just like we had a 2-day period to learn everything and to get everything into sorts. So it just came naturally to us as performing.
I'm feeling ecstatic, I'm feeling excited, I'm feeling really happy for the students as well, because They did the work, they made the sacrifice, they sacrificed their lunchtime, and I really, really commend them for putting their best foot forward. Well, I am someone who has been in the cultural space for many, many years, so it pleases me to see that they are using the cultural art form to push positive messages.
Stress has become one of the most significant triggers for substance misuse and relapse. Social pressures, economic uncertainty, and mental health challenges can leave individuals, especially our youths, searching for ways to cope. Unfortunately, some turn to alcohol, marijuana, and other substances as temporary relief, often leading to long-term consequences for their health, relationship, and future opportunities.
This is why prevention matters. We must continue to promote healthy ways of coping with stress through physical activity, proper tests, good nutrition, open communication, counseling, and creative expression. Just as importantly, we must ensure that individuals feel safe seeking help without fear of judgment or stigma. The Tobago House of Assembly, through the Division of Community Development and Social Protection, remains committed to this people-centered approach. We will continue to invest in community programs, youth development initiatives, and partnership that strengthens mental health, support, and promote healthy lifestyles.
We leave you with the words of Ra Shorty I, a founding father. Watch out, my children, watch out. It's about a fella called Lucifer with a bag of white powder. And he don't want to powder your face, but to bring shame and disgrace to the human race. Drag your bone, Mr. Fiddler.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host Chanel Felix, and guys, you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. majority state-owned bank, First Citizens, is heading to court to recover over $15 million from Tobago businessman Alan Warner and his family. The claim, filed against Inez Investments and several family members, seeks the repayment of millions in outstanding loans plus 8.5% interest. The High Court has authorized service by advertisement, giving the defendant just 8 days to enter an appearance. Warner now faces intense scrutiny as the bank moves to collect on multiple guarantees. Additionally, national security powers are staying in place. On Friday, Parliament voted 26-12 to extend the state of emergency for another 3 months. The government argued the extension is vital to dismantle gang networks, while the opposition slammed the move as a crunch for failed policies. The SOE continues to grant police expanded search and arrest powers. Notably, no curfew has been implemented, but authorities advise that all citizens should carry ID at all times. And finally, in politics, the race for the People's National Movement Tobago Council is hitting a high gear ahead of the April internal elections. Candidate Kelvin Morris is promising a bottom-up approach to leadership, focusing on community engagement and transparency. Morris says he is ready to bridge the gap between the party and the people, positioning himself as the candidate of unity against Shamfa Kajol-Lewis in what is expected to be a historic leadership battle. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we head straight across into our conversation, and as you know, we have been celebrating the month of Ramadan, and this morning we are chatting with Yusuf Iyab, who is an imam, and we're talking about the topics of regarding the ending of the Ramadan celebrations. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Ms. Felix. How are you today?
I am okay. It's a pleasure to have you on with us. Now, this has been one of those unprecedented Ramadan months we can see when we look at what is happening in the world around us. And for many persons, this is unfortunate, because this is the time where persons see it as a sacred time of prayer, of fasting, where persons dedicate their life to peace, to unity, to strength, to love, to all that is good. And with all that, being in this space, yet there's still that continuous fighting that's happening in the Middle East, that war that's happening between Iran and Israel, with the interception or involvement of the United States. But tell us a bit about what the Ramadan celebration has looked like for you this month, and how has what is happening in the world impacted this year's celebration?
Okay, well, first of all, we start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. And as you may or may not know, I am actually in the United Arab Emirates at the moment. I am in one of the 7 states here in the United Arab Emirates. A lot of people think, when they hear Dubai, they think the country is Dubai. Dubai is one of 7 states here. I am in one of them called Sharjah, which is a bit more conservative, a little bit more religious, if you will. I think everybody knows Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Again, those are just 2 out of 7 states in the United Arab Emirates. So where I am, it's quite peaceful, quite humble. It's a very nice state. There are mosques everywhere. There are, gatherings. Of course, it's Ramadan. And I can say that for the most part, the war has not really impacted the average Muslim here. For the most part, of course, those who are traveling, flights have been cancelled. And there's a lot more happening in the airport in terms of, the transportation sector and so on. But with regards to the visits to the mosques and people fasting and carrying out their daily life, I think everybody's been going about business as usual. And alhamdulillah, thank God, because that is actually from one of the merits, I should say, of the government over here. The government over here has been extremely helpful, extremely professional. They've been keeping everything, the communities safe. They've stationed police services at every junction, at the mosques. There's even a sign I saw on the road a couple of days ago says everyone is Emirati, right? Meaning the residents as well as the visitors as well as the expats. So they've been taking care of their people. And as we all know, the United Arab Emirates has one of the best missile defense systems in the world. They have one of the best militaries, and they've taken care of their people, and they've made sure that everyone is safe for the most part, thank God.
Understand. And how is it for you, being in a foreign country during this time, and particularly being, among those Middle Eastern countries that are, although it seems not to be under attack, but they are a part of the tensions, because we hear about the involvement of Saudi Arabia and Oman and all these other states that are bordering that can be affected by the tensions. How is that for you? Is there comfort knowing that, because of your beliefs, because of the prayers that you are putting out there, that is enough to comfort you during this time? Or is there, still that level of uncertainty of not being at home during this time?
Well, you said at the beginning in your introduction, you mentioned that it's a bit unfortunate. I would say I disagree. It's not that it's unfortunate, because to be honest with you, we as Muslims look at everything as a test from Allah, from God Almighty. And this is one of those many tests. Again, it's a test to see how will we persevere? How will we have patience in this time? Will we return to God Almighty? Because that's one of the things that we believe fundamentally as Muslims, that tests come to the believer and to mankind in general, for God Almighty to bring us back to Him, so that we turn back to Him. We turn back to Him in forgiveness. We turn back to Him in seeking help, in seeking aid, in relying on Him rather than relying on the means. So all that we see happening, the safety that is being provided by the country, the safety that is being provided by the government over here and the military and so on, we consider all that the means, and the real power behind it all, of course, is Allah, God Almighty. So for us, it's one of those things that it's just an extra test, and it's part of the program. It's part of the religion, if you will, that we look and we turn back to God Almighty, especially in this time of Ramadan. And it is a unique situation for this month again, but again, it's something that Allah, I think, did. Everything is planned, and we consider everything to be from His divine decree, from destiny. And I think it happened in this way so that we could return to Him. But I have to say that it's the entities that are pushing this war, the aggressors rather in this war, who have actually drawn a lot of these Muslim countries into this war unnecessarily. Yeah. At the end of the day, we heard a lot of rhetoric, a lot of talk about, Iran being an imminent threat. And it takes us back to the days when we heard, things of the same nature about, Iraq and Saddam Hussein and Afghanistan. I don't know how old you are, but I was around in those days as well. And we heard this talk from the American administration. We heard a lot of that. And at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, there were no weapons of mass destruction. There was no imminent threat. And I think the same thing is happening right now in Iran. There's some underlying issues that are happening politically and economically that the United States and Israel are pushing this war. And unfortunately, they're forcing a lot of the Muslim countries to get involved because of their alliances with America and their good nature in dealing with, the Western countries and so on. So, these countries are peace-loving countries. These countries are countries that want unity, countries of tolerance. Right here in the United Arab Emirates, I think, anybody who does any little bit of research, you will see this society is one of the most tolerant and one of the safest societies. It's been, continuously being voted as one of the safest societies in the world. I mean, the doors are unlocked, the cars is, we keep the keys in the car, there's no theft, there's no, for the most part. And that sense of amana, as we call it in Arabic, that sense of security is something that is found in the Islamic legislation and found in the countries that are trying to practice the Islamic law properly. So unfortunately, like I said, the only unfortunate part about this is that, because of their alliances with the West and with America and with Israel and so on, it's forcing them to get involved in a war that is unnecessary. For the most part.
But outside of that, how would you explain this Ramadan season or month to have been for you and for members of the Muslim community? Although you're not in Trinidad and Tobago right now, I would assume that you are very connected to them still, and you know everything that has been happening.
Yeah, well, I am the Imam of the masjid here, the mosque in Crown Point, Masjid Ibn Abbas, Tobago Islamic Learning Center, right there in Celestine Trace on Strawberry Local Road, the one close to the airport. And we have put things in place there. We have a young Nigerian-American brother there leading the prayers in Ramadan. The brothers are there breaking fast every day and so on. And here, of course, you know, the atmosphere here is very lively, very festive. It's a lot different in a Muslim country, you know, as you can imagine. There's mosques in every corner. The call to prayer is being heard 5 times a day. And it's really an amazing atmosphere. I came here, you know, for business as well as to visit for Ramadan to get a different experience, as I've done in the past. And it's very beautiful. It's inexplicable because, of course, you have the people gathering in the mosque at night for that extra prayers. We call it Taraweeh, which is an extra prayer we do in Ramadan at night. So while the rest of the world is asleep, we're in the mosques. And then on the last 10 nights of Ramadan right now, we have an additional extra prayer that we pray at 12 a.m. in the morning. So 12 a.m. you see Muslims coming out from all over the country, forsaking their beds, forsaking their sleep and their comfort zones, and coming out and praying, you know, until 1, 2 in the morning, which is really, it's a remarkable discipline. And I think it's something that Muslims, you know, we try to impart to our non-Muslim friends and neighbors as much as we can, but it's difficult to explain the sense of spirituality and the sense of discipline that we experience in these times.
Yeah, and it is extremely commendable, right, and inspirational for persons to have that level of consistent commitment, because sometimes you see from particular faiths that there's a time, or, you know, just an occurrence where intense prayer might take place, but to live a prayerful lifestyle where that level of commitment becomes a consistent part of one's lifestyle, you know, it is commendable. Finally, tell us a bit about, because you did talk about some of your non-Muslim brothers and sisters, and we know around Eid, that's when, you know, everyone is invited to come out to celebrate, to be a part of everything that's happening. So tell us a bit about the type of celebrations that are happening for Eid, what is happening at the mosque, how can persons get engaged, are we all invited to be there?
Yes, well, absolutely. Well, I want to say one thing before we close, and that is that, you know, in the world that we live in, we're faced with, you know, with constant overstimulation. This era, this generation of mankind, you know, we're always stimulated. We're overstimulated, as a matter of fact, with, you know, notifications, messages, WhatsApp, video calls, all these things happening around us. And it's very difficult to find a moment of silence or a moment of spirituality. You know, like I said, I'm a bit on the older side. I grew up in the 80s and 90s before the coming of the, you know, mobile phone generation, you know, the cell phone generation. And you realize that every second there's something is demanding our attention, something that is constantly causing us to be stimulated. So much so, you know, we have this, you know, we're constantly scrolling. You know, if you walk around in the airports, you walk around in the cafes and restaurants, you're always seeing people on their phone, you know, doom scrolling, as they call it now, right? You're just going through, wasting time. And it breaks our spirituality. It breaks our connection. It causes us to be connected to a fake and a false reality. It's very difficult. But, you know, once a year when Ramadan comes along, for us as Muslims, for that 29 or 30 days of Ramadan, there's an opportunity for us to disconnect from that fake reality, to disconnect from that false reality, and to connect with the fundamentals of the religion, and to connect with what is most important, to connect with Allah, with God Almighty, to have that spiritual silence, if you will, that spiritual moment where we could reconnect with the fundamentals. And the most important fundamental for us as Muslims is that belief that there is nothing or no one worthy of worship except that one God. We say in Arabic, La ilaha illallah. It is the statement that was, you know, that all of the universe, all of the creation was created. It is the statement that we believe that all the prophets and messengers came with their message. The prophet of the message of Adam, the message of Noah, the message of Abraham, the message of Moses, the message of Jesus, the message of Muhammad, all of them, peace be upon them all. And what we have to understand is that our purpose of existence is not this constant stimulation, this constant overindulgence and overstimulation. The purpose of our existence revolves around that worship and worshiping one God alone. And when we connect back to that, we connect to our humanity. And this is what Ramadan gives us. It gives us back that spiritual connection. And a lot of people think, Ramadan is just about leaving your food and drink, leaving your desires, like, from sun up to sundown, we don't eat or drink, we don't engage in any sort of intimacy, sexual relations with our spouses and so on. But the discipline of fasting itself, the way that the Muslims do it, as you mentioned yourself, I know a lot of non-Muslims look at it as very commendable. It's not just the stomach, it's the tongue that's fasting, it's the eyes that's fasting, it's the ears that's fasting, it's the heart that's fasting. So much things that are fasting, because our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said that the person who does not abandon false speech and acting upon it, Allah, God Almighty, is not in need of him abandoning his food and his drink. So, this reminds us that it is not just about physical deprivation, it's about a moral discipline, it's about building character. And that is what this Ramadan is. The last few days here in Ramadan that we live in, that disconnection that we have from social media and from all these different things, it's a character building discipline, Miss Felix. And I can tell you that, when you starve the body, you build patience, you build a certain spiritual connection. When you're giving charity, it builds your generosity. When you resist certain temptations, it builds your self-control and so on. And these are not temporary qualities. These are not things that we just do in Ramadan, and then after Ramadan we go back to our old ways. So for these last few days of Ramadan, we try to push to get that. We consider this a school, and for these last 10 days, what we're trying to do now is build that discipline, build that character, so we emerge at the end of Ramadan better than we were when we entered Ramadan. We emerge as people that are better for humanity, better for our Muslim and non-Muslim, neighbors and friends. We emerge as humanitarians, true humanitarians. So this is something that, we strive for. And as a matter of fact, some of the scholars of Islam mentioned that one of the signs of God Almighty, of Allah, accepting our fast in Ramadan and accepting our standing in the prayers in the nights and so on, is that you emerged someone better after Ramadan, and that you remain consistent at the end of it all. And finally, I want to say that with regard to the Eid, of course, Eid is a very festive, a very joyful time for us physically. There in Tobago, we do all the trimmings, we have all the food, we make the sawine, we make all the different things that we do to have fun. And it's a halal environment, meaning that, there's no haram things happening, no impermissible things happening according to our religion. There's no, alcohol drinking, and it's just good, clean fun, right? But one of the most celebratory things about it, the attitude, is the fact that knowing that in your heart, the most festive part about it is the fact that we could emerge with that discipline, knowing that we did something to please Allah, to please our God, to get closer to Him, to disconnect from a fake reality and connect to the real reality, the true reality, which is that there is only one God worthy of worship. So this is the message that I'd like to share with your viewers. And I'd like to say that, we hear a lot of negative rhetoric about negative narratives about Islam. One of the words we hear being thrown around for the past few decades, for example, is jihad. We always hear this word jihad, and they talk about it meaning holy war, right? The actual word jihad means a struggle. And our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said that the true mujahid, the true warrior, or the person who fights jihad, is the one who fights against his nafs, against his self, his lower self, or his desires, so to speak, against sins. This is the true jihad, the true mujahid, the true fighter, or the true person who fights jihad. So I encourage you viewers, do your research, look at the proper sources and ask the correct questions. Don't just believe what you hear on social media. Don't just believe what you hear on fake media, if you will. The Muslim religion, Islam, is an upright religion that promotes peace and security and justice in every aspect and in every community and in every land.
Understood. Well, we want to thank you so much, Imam, for being here with us this morning, and we look forward to getting our invitation for the Eid celebration that will be happening.
You're welcome. You're most welcome.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take a quick break right here, and we'll be back after this. See you soon.
now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Trinidad, Tobago, and abroad. Your chance to drive away in a brand new SUV is still on. The BHS Centennial Raffle has been extended to Thursday, 30th April 2026. And that's not all. Prizes include travel for two to Miami and Curacao, Tobago staycation, iPhones, computers, smart TVs, and more. Tickets still only $100. Get yours at selected outlets or at islandetickets.com. Details at bishopstobago100.com/raffle.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
We get ready as the Conby Mount Pleasant Community Council brings to you their Easter Sport and Family Day. On Monday, 6th April, Easter Monday, we transform the Mount Pleasant recreational grounds. We kick off with track and field events, novelty races, Easter bonnet competition, the Greasy Pole Challenge, and the highly anticipated William Woods Premier Goat Racing Classic. Huge prizes to be won, and we can't forget the Kids Corner with rides and bouncy castles. At 7 p.m., it's an after party and a stage show by popular artists and DJs. Grounds tickets cost $60 for adults and $30 for kids 5 to 12 years. Pavilion tickets cost $100 and children under 5 years are free. So register early for races. Check out Conby Mount Pleasant Community Council on Facebook. 474-4661. 474-4661 for more details. Live performance by the 2026 National Calypso Monarch Queen, Terry Lyons.
Need a blessing. Tobago need a blessing. Tobago need a blessing.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of possibility. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are at the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to you.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
In a world where our health defines our future and the Caribbean stands on the front lines of climate change, rising NCDs and global challenges, knowledge becomes our greatest defense. Caribbean Medical TV is your guide on the journey to wellness and insight, featuring our region's own doctors, nurses, climate specialists and medical institutions. From physical well-being to the emotional and mental balance we all deserve. Caribbean Medical TV empowers you because building a healthier future isn't just a regional goal, it's a global responsibility. In the Caribbean, vitality isn't just a goal, it's a way of living. Connect with the region through knowledge, hope, and the power of Caribbean resilience on Caribbean Medical TV, where awareness becomes power. Join the conversation, join the movement. Be viewing Season 4 of Caribbean Medical TV right here on this station.
TL Promotion presents Laugh and Live this Good Friday, 7 p.m. It's non-stop laughter at Birchwood Legacy Park, Lowlands. Special guest from Jamaica, Mr. Funny himself, Owen Blacker Ellis. From Trinidad, Rising Comics, Alan the Entertainer, and Son. And from Tobago, amateur comic, Bishop Terence Baines. Listen, this is a laughing matter. Get your tickets now at Den's Electronics, 2nd floor, Port Mall, Scarborough. An Island e-tickets or call 685-1988. At the door, you will pay more. It's gonna be a family affair. Laughter is good for the soul, whether you're young or you're old. So get your tickets now. You can't afford to miss it. Add some laughter to your Easter.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Who said the elderly can't have fun too? We're talking good food, proper music, lots of games, and a day at the beach they will never forget. From the time we left the compound at Heavenly Care Home for the Elderly, the vibe was already established. Wheels up and seatbelts on. Watch now, when we touched down in Pigeon Point, everybody was ready for excitement. But before anything could take place, we had to secure bellies. You ever play bingo by the beachside? Well, that was the first activity on the roster, and boy did these seniors have fun. However, others wanted something more physical, so we brought out the ring toss, and not even arthritis could have stopped them. Well, I was blown away at how straight these people were. Are you sure this is a home for the elderly? Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday, but nothing beats the song of Good Steel Pan by the shores while we take a dip in Tobago's finest water. Wait, more food again? This is my type of event. The energy was amazing and nothing short of a blessing. Pick up Heavenly Care Home for the Elderly, because joy doesn't retire, laughter doesn't age, and memories like these last forever.
To a stranger.
The energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, welcome to our discussions this morning. We continue by chatting with Opposition Senator Melanie Roberts-Rajman, and we're talking about the 74th Westminster Seminar on the effective Parliament, right? And so you attended this with the invitation. You attended it with a number of other senators, and it was basically the launch of the new CPA UK strategy. Tell us a bit about that. How does one get invited to these things outside of just being, a part of the Parliament? You were one of the women that were there, very important, and probably the youngest, if not so.
Youngest,
right? Tell us a bit about that.
Sure, thank you. Good morning to you, Chanel, and good morning to everyone who's tuned in via the various platforms. In terms of the contingent, it was 3 of us, so myself as Opposition Senator, Senator Dr. Marlene Atz, who is an independent senator, and then Assistant Clerk of the Senate, Lauren Barrister. So 3-member contingent representing Trinidad and Tobago. I believe it is the first all-female contingent actually represent Trinidad and Tobago's Parliament at Westminster Seminar. In terms of how does one get invited, the CPA, which is the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, when the seminars are planned, there are, I guess, a few guidelines that are given in terms of the parliamentarians and eligibility to attend, one of which you're required to be fairly new in your role. That's one of the, and then of course they expect a diverse cross-section, so you don't expect any 2 members or any 3 members sitting from one bench to attend. Right. Of course they would expect a mix, female involvement, minority involvement, that sort of thing. For me it was actually quite last minute, but I answered the call and I had 0 regrets. As you mentioned, it was also the official launch of the CPA's new plan, new strategy. So we attended a reception, I think, on the 3rd or 4th day of the seminar at the invitation of the Speaker of the House of Commons. So we attended the launch actually, which was in the form of a reception at the Speaker's house, where the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association would have released the new direction for the
Okay, and tell us a bit about the process as it pertains to making recommendations from these visits and these events to the Speaker of the House and to the Parliament on a whole to see these recommendations be implemented in Trinidad and Tobago.
Definitely. So I think there's 2 things that really stood out for me. One is the involvement of the parliamentary clerk, because they're the ones who really administer the operations of the Parliament. So having her be directly involved as well in the conversations, in the exchanges between the various parliaments, I think that was very informative, very essential. So she herself had her takeaways. Of course, we also did our debrief sessions after each session, each formal session. We would have a debrief where we'd exchange ideas, where we talk about key takeaways, things that we can see being implemented in Trinidad and Tobago. And then of course via the various committees, I think coincidentally enough, at this stage, the committee in Parliament, in our Parliament, I'm talking about, that deals with the, the standing orders. There's actually consideration being given right now to updating our standing orders. Of course, we have to take into account AI technology now, social media. So different changes since the last version, or the latest version of the standing orders were published. So that was one of the sessions, that was one of the discussions that came out. There are other Commonwealth jurisdictions also going through changes with their standing orders, as well as jurisdictions who have just gone through a period of changes in their standing order. So that's just one example. So we got a lot of learnings, a lot of feedback from there that we can then pass to the standing order committee. And we're lucky enough that Dr. Atz actually serves on that committee as well. So we have a direct link into the committee in terms of making changes, upgrades to our standing orders.
And you know, what are some of the things that you would think that we need to change immediately from that? You were like, you saw it and you were like, what we are doing is the ghetto.
Yeah.
We are 10 years behind.
Definitely. I think one of the sessions we had spoke about the use of AI in your parliamentary practice and proceedings. experience. And I had the pleasure of hearing from other jurisdictions how they have incorporated AI, and I thought to myself it was time for me to sort of report on how our parliament is using AI.
Right.
And sadly, sad to say, it's not something that we have yet addressed.
Okay.
So those, and I saw other jurisdictions, for instance, Zimbabwe, they use it as part of their public consultation process before legislation is actually debated in the parliament. So they break it down, the legislation or the proposed bill, they break it down, they disseminate it into the public, and the public is able to use AI to share their views. That's then taken into account at the parliamentary debate stage. So I thought that was very interesting. Tristan, we had, I think, from Guernsey, there was another parliament who they use AI to very quickly transcribe parliamentary proceedings, so you get very accurate and timely reports based on debates coming out. Another parliament, you're able to zone in on just specific clauses and use AI as a member of the public to know exactly what each member of parliament said specifically about a clause. So if you have an interest in just one particular piece of legislation, you're able to use it. So I think the use of AI really stood out for me as something we need to look at almost immediately. And then also seeing the strides that have been made in other parliaments in terms of inclusivity, especially pertains to gender inclusivity and equality, and really catering for the needs of women. So you have parliaments that have built-in daycares, so mothers are able to bring their children to the daycare while they're in parliament, especially considering sometimes the very long hours that we sit. So I think that's also another area that we might be behind in, and I think is one of those areas that we definitely need to give almost an immediate look at.
Understood. Even as it pertains to the type of exposure and training and capacity building that is afforded by attending these sessions and just having that level of exposure, I see that even at the Assembly Legislature, they usually do a visit to the UK Parliament and to the Scottish Parliament around September. How important is it for parents to want to have their kids involved in these visits and these excursions to have a broader perspective on how the world operates on a parliamentary level?
I think it's 100% essential. I think if a parent ever has the opportunity to do that, they should make full use of it. On the larger scale of things, I think those kinds of experiences, that kind of exposure, the level of networking and the things that students, young parliamentarians, young persons get to experience firsthand, no sort of classroom can give you that. From forcing you to speak very publicly, to interacting with persons in different systems from different countries that you wouldn't have had the opportunity to interact with, from learning simple etiquette and decorum when you're in those types of spaces, I think 100% essential, 100% irreplaceable.
Right, and would that be one of the footnotes in your recommendation to the Parliament to ensure that these opportunities are, broadly offered to students, young persons, young youth parliamentarians, to ensure that they have the type of exposure that is needed?
Yes, definitely. And one of the sessions that we had, I think the first day, the Monday, I had the opportunity to interact with Baroness of Scotland, and she's very much involved in the Commonwealth Youth Association, which is something I didn't even know exists. But through that network, it's a youth network of the CPA. A lot of young persons from across the Commonwealth are being given these opportunities. So it's definitely something that I've taken note of. I've grabbed the information from her, and definitely something I see that we need to take advantage of here in Trinidad and Tobago, but particularly in Tobago.
Yeah, definitely here in Tobago. But I want to thank you for being here this morning. We know that the time is short, but even from this experience, how would you say it has impacted your personal experience as a parliamentarian? You are fairly new. But even the way how you decide to look at things moving forward, what would have happened there to shape some new perspectives for you?
I feel, Chanel, like it has given me maybe an additional, I've been in the Parliament for maybe 10 months now.
Right.
It's given me probably another 10 months of experience just within that 1 week. The level of networking, the learnings and takeaways from different jurisdictions, the exposure itself, it forces you to grow up. It forces you to really take a look at what parliaments and what other jurisdictions are doing. You see some of the strides that they're making. And these are strides that transcend even like political boundaries. You see how it really impacts their countries and the people that they serve. So I think it's been an invaluable experience. It's been life-changing. It has definitely forced me to take a different look, a more mature look, a more professional look at my parliamentary practice just as a young senator. And I mean, I'm very excited to see how I continue to develop having had this experience.
Right. And how you're gonna use the Harvard degree after if you decide to abandon us here in Tobago?
Yes,
head
definitely.
over to the UK. But you know, finally, when I have you here, I have to ask the questions. And there's an internal election that's happening at the People's National Movement level here in Tobago come April. We see some members have already put themselves forward. Minority Leader former Minority Leader Kelvin Morris, former MP for Tobago Shamfa Lewis, former political leader or the incumbent Ansel Dennis, and there are chatters in the space about other persons who may be putting their hat in the ring, you know, looking on, being a member of the party. How is that for you? Is it fortunate or unfortunate that we're seeing some strong contenders coming forward? You hear some persons saying, well, we have a favor for Kelvin. We think that since Kelvin has already been minority leader, it's just the natural pathway for him to take on that leadership as political leader. We're hearing persons saying, well, Shampa has that parliamentary experience, you know, it's a toss-up. Where do you sit on that?
I mean, I haven't... Let me start by saying this. I'm very happy to see the caliber of members coming forward and showing an interest in the leadership. I feel very comforted by it because I know whoever emerges, we would have a very strong leader, and I think that's what we need at this point. So that gives me comfort, knowing that yes, we'd go through the democratic process, but it almost feels like a win-win situation. I am looking at the slate. I am looking at the prospective candidates at this time. As I said, I'm happy to work with either candidate that has offered themselves. So far, I think they both come with their strengths, they both come with their appeals, and of course their experiences that are essential. I think the key thing is that at the end of the day, once we're done with this process, the main thing is that one, we do it clean, we do it transparently, we do it remembering the core principles and remembering the end goal, of course, which is to rebuild and really revitalize the party. And I hope that those who put themselves forward, regardless of the outcome, they would continue to make their contributions, continue to be of service to the party, because as I said, I see both of them as really having strong characteristics and as really playing essential roles in the party's leadership going forward.
Understood. But we want to thank you for being here this morning, and again, congratulations on your recent trip that you made to the UK, and you know, just building that experience, building that capacity. We look forward to seeing you again working with young persons on the island to ensure that these opportunities are available for others as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussions. We want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.